Pay up or walk away. The cashier's voice sliced through the pharmacy like a verdict. Lena Carter's hands froze over $17 in scattered coins, not enough for the formula her screaming 6-month-old desperately needed. Noah burned with fever against her chest. Every customer stared, judged, whispered. She reached to put the can back, surrendering to shame she couldn't afford to fight. Then boots, heavy, deliberate, leather and chain wallets. 5 bikers filled the doorway, their shadows swallowing the fluorescent light. The whispers died. The stares shifted. The entire room held its breath. And the man in front scarred massive, dangerous, locked eyes on Noah and said, "Ring everything." Before we continue, if you're watching this story, hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the very end. Drop a comment telling me what city you are watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The cashier's hand was already reaching for the formula can when Lena heard the boots behind her. Not the soft shuffle of regular customers. These were heavy, deliberate, the kind of footsteps that made people step aside without being asked. She didn't turn around. Couldn't. Her entire focus was on Noah, who had cried himself into hiccuping gasps against her shoulder. His little fingers clutched her worn jacket, and she could feel the heat radiating from his forehead, even through her shirt. "Ma'am, I need you to make a decision." The cashier, a thin woman with reading glasses on a chain and a name tag that read Gloria, tapped one finger on the counter. "There's a line." There wasn't a line, just people who had stopped shopping to watch. Lena's throat closed. I just need one more minute, please. I thought I had enough, but you don't." Gloria's voice carried across the pharmacy like an announcement. Several people near the vitamin aisle turned to stare. An older man by the blood pressure machine shook his head. Lena felt something inside her crack. Not breaks she'd been broken before. This was different. This was the sound of whatever dignity she had left crumbling to dust. "I understand." Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "I'll put it back." "Good. Next customer." Noah wailed louder. Lena shifted him to her other shoulder, trying to soothe him with words that felt like lies. "It's okay, baby. It's okay. Mama's got you." But she didn't have him. Not really. She didn't have anything. That's when the voice came from behind her. "Ring it all up." Deep, rough, the kind of voice that sounded like it had been dragged across gravel for years. Lena froze. Gloria looked past her, and something shifted in the cashier's expression. Not fear exactly, but awareness. The kind of awareness people get when they realize they might have made a miscalculation. "Excuse me," Gloria said. "I said ring it all up." Lena turned. "Oh." The man standing 3 feet behind her looked like he'd walked straight out of a different world. Maybe 6'3" shoulders that could have been carved from stone, and a face that told 1,000 stories, none of them gentle. Leather jacket with patches that marked him as part of something most people crossed the street to avoid. Scarred knuckles resting easy at his sides. Salt and pepper beard that couldn't quite hide the hard line of his jaw. But it was his eyes that stopped her. They weren't looking at Gloria. They were fixed on Noah. And in those eyes, dark, weary, seen too much eyes, something flickered that Lena couldn't quite name. "Sir, this isn't, Gloria started. "Formula, medicine, whatever food she's got, ring it." He pulled out a wallet from his back pocket, leather worn smooth from years of use. "And add whatever else she needs." The pharmacy had gone completely silent. Lena's pulse hammered in her throat. I can't let you. You're not letting me do anything." His eyes finally shifted to her, and there was something in that gaze that made her chest tight. Not threat, something else, something sadder. "Kid's sick. You need help. End of story." "I don't even know you." "Don't need to." He stepped forward, and Lena instinctively backed up half a step. He noticed, stopped, raised both hands slightly, a gesture that said, "I'm not going to hurt you," in a language that needed no words. "Look," he said, voice dropping lower, "I get it. Stranger walks in looking like I do. You got every right to be scared. But right now, that boy needs medicine, and you need formula. So how about we deal with that first, and you can decide what to do about me after." Lena looked down at Noah, whose crying had softened to exhausted whimpers. His little face was flushed, his eyes glassy with fever. She looked back at the stranger, made a decision she'd probably regret. "Okay." The man, she didn't even know his name yet, turned to Gloria, and laid $300 bills on the counter. Start with the formula and the fever reducer, then whatever else she had. Gloria's hands moved mechanically to scan the items. The electronic beeps felt impossibly loud. Behind the stranger, 4 more bikers had spread out across the pharmacy. They weren't doing anything threatening, just standing there watching. But their presence changed the entire atmosphere of the room. The older man by the blood pressure machine had quietly left. The couple who'd been whispering near the cough medicine had suddenly found somewhere else to be. Lena felt like she was watching this happen to someone else. "That'll be 163, Gloria said, her voice much quieter now. The stranger, the biker, didn't even glance at the change. "Keep it. Sir, that's over $100. I know how to count." He picked up the bag Gloria had packed, turned to Lena, and held it out. She stared at it like it might explode. "Take it," he said. Not unkind, just matter of fact, like this was the most normal thing in the world. Lena's hand shook as she reached for the bag. Her fingers brushed his for half a second, his skin rough as tree bark, warm solid, and then she was pulling the bag against her chest, trying to figure out what the hell was happening. "Thank you," she whispered. I don't know how to. Don't worry about it." He stepped back, giving her space. "You got a car?" The question hit her like cold water. "Why?" The word came out sharper than she intended, defensive. Something in his expression shifted. Understanding, maybe, or recognition. "Because your kid's burning up, and you look like you haven't slept in 3 days. Figured I'd ask." He tilted his head slightly. "But if that's too much, forget I mentioned it." Lena's mind raced. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to take the medicine and get as far away from this man as possible. But Noah was so hot, so sick, and her car, it broke down, she heard herself say. 2 miles from here. That's why I walked. 2 miles. One of the other bikers spoke up, a shorter man with a gray beard and kind eyes. "With a baby Jesus." The main biker, the one who'd paid, looked at his friend, then back at Lena. "Where you headed?" "Motel, the Budget Inn on Route 34. "That place," the gray-bearded biker made a face. "That's a shithole. Pardon my French. It's what I can't afford." Lena's voice came out defensive again. "Look, I appreciate what you did, but I don't need charity, I know." The main biker's voice cut through hers, but not cruelly, firmly, like he was drawing a line. "Here's what's going to happen. My friend Mac here is going to take his truck, go get your car, and tow it to my shop. Tomorrow we'll look at it, see what's wrong. In the meantime, I'll give you a ride to that motel." "I can't." "Yes, you can." His eyes locked onto hers. "Because the alternative is you walk 2 miles with a sick baby and a bag of groceries, in the dark. And I'm not watching that happen." Lena felt tears burn behind her eyes. "Why are you doing this?" For a long moment he didn't answer, just looked at Noah, still whimpering in her arm. When he finally spoke, his voice had changed, quieter, raw. "Because somebody did it for me once, long time ago, when I needed it." He met her eyes. "Maybe it's my turn to pass it on." Behind him, the other bikers nodded. No words, just small movements that said, "Yeah, we're with him on this." Lena looked down at Noah, at his red face and tired eyes, at the medicine bag in her hands that she'd been seconds away from putting back on the shelf. She thought about the motel room, the broken car, the fact that she'd walked 2 miles with a baby because she had no other choice. She thought about what happens when people help you, what they expect in return. But when she looked back at this stranger, this rough, scary-looking man who should have terrified her, all she saw was someone who understood what it meant to be desperate. "Okay," she said quietly, "but just a ride, nothing else." "Just a ride," he agreed. "I'm Rex, by the way. Rex Maddox." Lena Carter." He nodded once. "Let's get your boy somewhere safe." The parking lot was dark except for the pharmacy's fluorescent lights bleeding through the windows. Rex's motorcycle sat under one of the lights, a massive machine that looked like it could tear down highways without breaking a sweat. Next to it, an old Chevy pickup truck. "That's mine," Mac had said, fishing keys from his pocket. "Give me your car's location and I'll have it at the shop in an hour." Lena described where she'd left it, broken down on the shoulder near Mielmarker 17, and Mac was gone before she could say thank you. That left her alone in the parking lot with Rex and 2 other bikers. One was a tall black man with graying temples and a quiet intensity that reminded Lena of her high school history teacher. The other was younger, maybe early 30s, with tattoos creeping up his neck and a nervous energy that made him bounce slightly on his heels. "This is Eli," Rex said, gesturing to the older man. "And that's Travis. They're riding with us." "Riding?" Lena looked at the motorcycles. "I thought, got a van parked around back." Rex started walking and Lena followed because she didn't know what else to do. "Use it for parts runs. Figure it's better than strapping a baby to a bike." That surprised her. She'd been preparing herself for exactly that scenario, trying to figure out how to hold Noah and stay on a motorcycle without dying. The van turned out to be an old Ford White with rust spots and a faded logo on the side that read, "Maddox Auto Repair." Rex opened the passenger door. "Hop in." Lena hesitated. He saw it. "Look, if I was going to do something, I would have done it already. Half the pharmacy saw us leave together. Cameras everywhere. I'm not that stupid." It was the bluntness that made her believe him. Not because it was reassuring, but because it was practical. True, she got in. The van smelled like motor oil and old coffee. The seat had a tear in it, stuffing poking through. But it was clean, no trash, no weird stains, nothing that screamed danger. Rex climbed in on the driver's side, started the engine. For the first few minutes, they drove in silence. Noah had finally fallen into an exhausted sleep against Lena's shoulder, his breathing still too fast but steadier than before. "How old?" Rex asked suddenly. "What? Your boy. How old?" 6 months. Lena's hand moved automatically to Noah's back, rubbing small circles. "He's never been sick like this before. I didn't know what to do." "Fever's scary." Rex kept his eyes on the road, especially the first time. Something in his voice made her look at him. "You have kids." His jaw tightened. "Had a daughter. Long time ago." "Had." The word hung in the air like smoke. Lena didn't ask. "Some wounds you don't poke." "The motel's up here on the right," she said instead. Rex pulled into the parking lot of the Budget Inn, a squat, sad-looking building with a flickering vacancy sign and doors that opened directly to the parking lot. Room 112 was on the ground floor, which was the only reason Lena could afford it. She unbuckled her seatbelt. "Thank you for everything. I'll figure out how to pay you back." "Don't." "But seriously, don't." Rex turned to look at her fully. "You need help, I helped. That's it. No tab, no debt, no strings." Lena searched his face for the lie, the angle, the thing he wanted that he wasn't saying yet. She couldn't find it. "Why?" she asked again. "Why would you do all this for someone you don't even know?" Rex was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice had gone somewhere else, somewhere distant and dark. "Because I know what it's like to need help and not get it. And I know what it's like to watch someone suffer because nobody gave a damn." His eyes found hers. "So when I see someone in trouble, I help. That's all there is to it." Lena felt something crack open in her chest. Not trust, she'd lost the ability to trust easily a long time ago, but recognition. The sense that maybe, just maybe, this man understood what it meant to be broken and still standing. "I'm being chased," she heard herself say. The words came out before she could stop them. Rex's expression didn't change. "By who?" "Someone powerful. Someone who can make my life disappear if he wants to." This someone got a name. Lena's breath caught. She shouldn't say it. Shouldn't pull these strangers into her nightmare. But Noah was sick. Her car was broken. And she was so tired of running alone. "Caleb Vance," she whispered. The van went completely still. It took her a moment to realize that Rex had stopped moving. His hands were frozen on the steering wheel, knuckles suddenly white. "Say that again," he said quietly. "Caleb Vance. You know him." Rex's jaw worked like he was chewing glass. "Yeah, I know him." The way he said it sent ice through Lena's veins. "How tight?" she asked. Rex stared straight ahead through the windshield at nothing. When he finally spoke, his voice had changed completely, gone cold and hard as winter steel. "Because 15 years ago, Caleb Vance killed my daughter." Lena's hands went numb. The medicine bag slipped from her fingers and hit the van floor with a dull thud. "What did you say?" Rex didn't look at her. His eyes stayed fixed on something through the windshield that only he could see. "You heard me. Caleb Vance killed your daughter." The words felt wrong in her mouth, impossible. "When? How?" 15 years ago, hit and run. She was 7. His voice had gone flat. Dead. He was 22, drunk off his ass driving his daddy's BMW. Never even stopped. Left her in the street like trash. Lena's mind reeled. But he's never been arrested. Never charged with anything. I checked everything about him because his father made it disappear. Rex's knuckles cracked on the steering wheel. Richard Vance owned half the county back then. Still does. Paid off witnesses, buried evidence, had the whole thing sealed as a juvenile case even though Caleb was legally an adult. My daughter became a closed file and a headstone. I'm sorry. The words felt pathetic, useless. Don't be sorry, just tell me how he found you. Lena looked down at Noah, still sleeping against her shoulder. Her baby boy, the reason she'd been running for 6 months. He's Noah's father, she said quietly. The silence in the van was so complete she could hear her own heartbeat. Rex turned to look at her, really look at her. And in his eyes she saw something shift, not surprise, but confirmation. Like he'd already suspected and she'd just proven him right. Tell me everything, he said, from the beginning. Lena swallowed hard. I was a waitress at his country club. He was charming, attentive, said all the right things. I thought, her voice cracked, I thought he actually saw me, not just another poor girl serving drinks. When did it change? 3 months in, I got pregnant, told him I wanted to keep it. She looked down at Noah. That's when I met the real Caleb Vance. Rex waited. He wanted me to get rid of it, offered me money, a lot of money. When I refused, he tried to force me, dragged me to a clinic, had his lawyer draw up papers. Her hand moved protectively over Noah's back. I ran, stayed with friends, moved around, but he kept finding me. So I left Virginia entirely, came here, changed my name, thought I was safe. But you're not. No, the word came out broken. He found me 2 weeks ago, sent a text, said he'd been watching, said he wanted his son. What did you do? Ran again, spent everything I had getting to this motel. My car broke down on the way. I've been stuck here with no money, no transportation, just praying he'd lose interest. She laughed bitterly. Stupid right men like Caleb Vance don't lose interest. They win. That's what they do. Rex was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had changed, hardened. Not this time. You don't understand. He has lawyers, money. His family practically owns the police department back home. I can't fight him. You're not fighting alone anymore. Lena shook her head. I can't ask you to. You are not asking, I'm telling. Rex turned in his seat to face her fully. Caleb Vance took my daughter from me, destroyed my family, walked away clean because his daddy had enough money to bury the truth. You think I'm going to let him do it again? To another kid. He'll destroy you too. He can try. Rex's smile had no humor in it. But I'm not that easy to destroy. Already tried to kill myself twice after Jenny died. Didn't take. Figure that means I'm here for a reason. The rawness of the statement hit Lena like a punch. Rex, tomorrow morning we're going to fix your car. Then we're going to figure out exactly what Caleb's planning, and then we're going to stop him. He said it like he was reading a grocery list. Simple. Factual. But first you need to get that boy inside and give him his medicine. He's burning up. Lena looked down at Noah. Rex was right. His fever had spiked again, his little face flushed and damp. Okay, she whispered. Okay. She gathered Noah and the medicine bag, started to open the door, stopped. Why are you really doing this? She asked without turning around. Already told you. No, you told me part of it, but there's something else, something you are not saying. Rex was quiet so long she thought he wasn't going to answer. Then, because I wasn't there when Jenny needed me, I was working a double shift at the garage. She was walking home from school. 3 blocks. I'd done it 1,000 times. Figured it was safe. His voice cracked. I was wrong, and I spent 15 years hating myself for not being there, for not protecting her. So yeah, maybe this is selfish. Maybe I'm doing this because I need to save someone I couldn't save back then. But does it matter? No, Lena said softly. It doesn't matter. She got out of the van, carried Noah to room 112, unlocked the door with shaking hands. Behind her, Rex's van didn't move. Not until she was inside with the door locked. Only then did she hear the engine start, the crunch of tires on gravel pulling away. Lena fed Noah medicine in the dark, watched him drink formula with desperate hunger, felt his forehead slowly cool as the fever reducer kicked in, and for the first time in months she let herself cry. Not from fear, from something she'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. The next morning came too fast and too bright. Lena woke to Noah babbling in his portable crib the first happy sounds he'd made in days. His fever had broken. The medicine had worked. She was changing his diaper when someone knocked on the door. Her entire body went rigid. "Who is it?" "Mac, from last night, got your car." Lena peered through the peephole. The gray-bearded biker stood on the walkway, hands visible, non-threatening. Behind him in the parking lot, her ancient Honda Civic sat on a flatbed tow truck. She opened the door a crack. "You found it. Right where you said," Mac grinned. "Timing belts shot, valve cover gaskets leaking, transmissions making noises that'd scare a horror movie. But Rex says it's fixable." "How much?" "We'll talk about that later. Right now, Rex wants to see you at the shop. Got some things to discuss." The way he said it made her stomach tight. "What things?" "Better if he tells you himself." Mac's expression softened. "But bring the little man. Shop's got a back office with a playpen. Rex keeps it for customers with kids." 40 minutes later, Lena was standing in Maddox Auto Repair with Noah on her hip, staring at a wall covered in newspaper clippings, all of them about Caleb Vance. "Jesus," she whispered. "Been collecting them for 15 years. Rex stood next to a workbench covered in tools and coffee-stained papers. Every mention of his name, every business deal, every charity event, every time he so much as sneezed in public, I documented it. The articles painted a picture of a golden boy, Ivy League education, real estate empire, philanthropist, local hero who donated millions to children's hospitals and homeless shelters. He looks perfect," Lena said quietly. "They always do." Rex pointed to a smaller article in the corner. "But dig deeper, you find cracks. 3 sexual harassment settlements paid out quietly. 2 DU is expunged from his record. A restraining order filed by an ex-girlfriend that disappeared from the court system. How'd you find all this? Time, obsession, and a private investigator who owed me a favor." Rex pulled out a folder from his desk drawer, thick, worn. "This is everything I've got on Caleb Vance, and it's yours now." Lena took the folder with trembling hands. "Why are you giving me this?" "Because you're going to need it." "For what?" Rex exchanged a look with Mac, who'd followed them inside. Some silent communication passed between them. "Tell her," Mac said. Rex pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, turned it to face Lena. It was a court document, filed 3 days ago. "Petition for emergency custody, Caleb James Vance versus Lena Marie Carter." The room tilted. Where did you get this?" Lena's voice came from very far away. "I've got a friend who works in the county clerk's office. Called in a favor this morning. Soon as I heard Vance's name last night, I knew he'd do something like this." Rex's jaw was tight. "He's claiming you're an unfit mother, says you're homeless, unemployed, mentally unstable. He's requesting full custody pending a formal hearing." I'm not. "I know. But it doesn't matter what's true, matters what he can prove, or what he can make a judge believe." Lena's knees went weak. She sat down hard on a metal folding chair. "When's the hearing?" 4 days. 4 days. The folder slipped from her hands, paper scattering. "That's not enough time to—" "I need a lawyer. I need evidence. You need to breathe." Mac's voice cut through her spiral. "Rex, she's hyperventilating. Strong hands." Rex's hands pressed her shoulders down. "Head between your knees. Slow breaths. In through your thymus, out through your mouth." Lena followed the instructions mechanically. The panic attack slowly receded, leaving her hollow and shaking. Noah started to fuss. She pulled him closer, pressing her face against his soft hair. "I can't lose him," she whispered. "He's all I have." "You're not going to lose him." Rex crouched in front of her so they were eye level. "But we need to move fast, and we need to be smart. Caleb's got money and lawyers. We've got something better." "What?" "The truth, and people who aren't afraid to fight for it." The door to the shop opened. Eli and Travis walked in along with 2 more bikers Lena hadn't met yet. This everyone? Rex asked. Snake and Hammer couldn't make it. Work. Eli crossed his arms. But the rest of the crew's in. In for what? Lena looked between them. What's happening? Rex stood, addressing the room. Caleb Vance is trying to take this woman's son. Claims she's unfit. Plans to use his money and connections to bury her in court. We're not letting that happen. Why should we care? The question came from one of the new bikers, a heavy-set man with a shaved head and a scar across his eyebrow. Because Caleb Vance killed Rex's daughter and then walked away clean, Max said quietly. And because some things matter more than staying out of trouble. The room went silent. The scarred biker looked at Lena, at Noah. Back to Rex. What do you need? Everything you can find on Vance. His business, his properties, his connections. Anything that proves he's not the saint he pretends to be. Rex turned to Eli. You still talk to your sister, the one who works at the courthouse. Sometimes. Why? See if she can pull records. Anything sealed or expunged. We need leverage. Rex, that's... Eli hesitated. That could cost her her job. I know, which is why I'm asking, not telling. But if Vance gets that boy, he'll destroy him the same way he destroys everything he touches. You know that. Eli was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. I'll call her. Travis, you're on surveillance. I want to know everywhere Vance goes, everyone he talks to, every move he makes between now and that hearing. Got it. Rex looked at the scarred biker. Bear, you know people in the press, reporters who aren't afraid of rich men. Start making calls, quietly. We might need someone willing to publish what we find. Consider it done. Lena watched this unfold with a sense of unreality. These men strangers 48 hours ago were organizing like a military operation. For her, for Noah. I don't understand, she said. Why would you risk all this? Because it's right. The answer came from Travis, the youngest. And because people like Vance only win when people like us do nothing. But if he finds out, if he comes after you, let him. Rex's voice cut through the room like a blade. I've been waiting 15 years for a reason to face Caleb Vance. Looks like I finally got one. Lena felt something shift inside her. Not hope. Hope was too fragile. This was something harder, fiercer, determination. Tell me what to do, she said. I'm not just sitting on the sidelines while you fight my battle. Rex smiled, actually smiled. First thing, you are going to write down everything you know about Caleb. Every threat he made, every message he sent, every time he tried to control you. We're building a case and you're our key witness. What's the second thing? We find you a lawyer, someone who can't be bought or scared off. Someone who's willing to fight dirty. Rex pulled out his phone again. And I think I know just the person. He dialed, put it on speaker. The phone rang 3 times before a woman's voice answered. Maddox, been a long time. Hey Sam, need a favor. Course you do. Nobody calls me for social reasons anymore. A pause. Who'd you piss off this time? Not me, a friend. Woman named Lena Carter. She's got a custody case against, Rex paused, against Caleb Vance. The silence on the other end stretched so long Lena thought the call had dropped. Then say that again. Caleb Vance, filed for emergency custody, hearings in 4 days. Woman's got nothing, no money, no lawyer, no leverage. Just a good case and in bad luck. And you want me to take it? I'm asking. More silence, then a long exhale. You know what you're asking me to do? Vance has 8 lawyers on retainer. His father has 12. They'll bury me in motions, in continuances before we even get to trial. I know. I could lose my license. I know that too. Then why the hell would I say yes? Rex looked at Lena, at Noah sleeping peacefully in her arms, unaware of the battle being waged for his future. Because 15 years ago, I asked you to help me go after the man who killed my daughter. And you said no. Said it wasn't worth the risk. That I needed to let it go. His voice stayed steady, but Lena could hear the weight behind every word. And you were right. Legally, you were right, but Jenny's still dead. Vance is still walking free. And I've spent 15 years wondering if maybe, just maybe, one good lawyer willing to take the risk could have made a difference. The woman on the other end, Sam, didn't speak for what felt like an eternity. Send me everything you've got, she finally said. I'll be there tomorrow morning. The line went dead. Lena stared at the phone. Who was that? Samantha Price, best family lawyer in 3 counties. She's mean as hell, doesn't lose, and she owes me. Rex pocketed his phone. She'll fight for you, Bo. But she said a lot of things. But she'll show up. That's what matters. He turned to the crew. Everyone knows what they're doing, nods around the room. Then let's get to work. We've got 4 days to take down a man who thinks he's untouchable. Rex's eyes found Lena's. You ready for this? Lena looked down at Noah, thought about the pharmacy, the fear, the shame, the feeling of being completely powerless while strangers judged her. Then she thought about these men, these bikers who looked terrifying and sounded rough, but had shown her more kindness in 24 hours than most people had in her entire life. Yes, she said, I'm ready. And for the first time since Caleb Vance had walked into her life, she actually believed it. Sam Price arrived at the shop at 7 the next morning, carrying a briefcase that looked like it had survived a war and a coffee cup the size of a small bucket. She was nothing like Lena expected. Mid-50s maybe, gray hair pulled into a severe bun, suit that probably cost more than Lena's car, but looked like it had been slept in. Eyes that could cut glass. You're the mother, Sam asked without preamble. Yes, Lena Carter. Sam looked her up and down, not judging, assessing, like a general surveying troops. You look terrified. Good. Means you understand what we're up against. She turned to Rex. Where can we talk? Rex led them to the back office. Mac had already set up a playpen in the corner, and Noah was happily chewing on a plastic ring, his fever completely gone. Sam sat down, opened her briefcase, and pulled out a legal pad covered in notes. I spent last night reading everything Rex sent me. The custody petition, your history with Vance, his financial records, what I can access publicly anyway. She looked up at Lena. It's bad. How bad? He's painting you as unstable. Claims you've been diagnosed with postpartum depression and refused treatment. Says you're homeless by choice because you're running from imaginary threats. He's got 3 character witnesses lined up, all respectable people who will testify that he's a loving father desperate to save his son from a delusional mother. Lena's stomach dropped. I'm not delusional. He threatened me. He tried to force me. I believe you, but belief doesn't win cases. Evidence does. Sam tapped her pen on the notepad. Do you have proof? Text messages, emails, recordings? I deleted everything. I was scared he'd track my phone. Of course you did. Sam didn't sound surprised, just tired. What about witnesses? Anyone who saw him threaten you? No, he was always careful. Only did it when we were alone. Sam made a note. Medical records, hospital visits, anything documenting injuries or mental health support. I couldn't afford a doctor, and I was afraid if I went to the hospital, they'd ask questions. Call the police. I couldn't risk... Lena's voice cracked. I couldn't risk him finding me. So what you're telling me is we have 0 physical evidence, 0 witnesses, and 0 documentation that Caleb Vance is anything other than a concerned father. Sam set down her pen. This is going to be a problem. There has to be something, Rex said from where he leaned against the wall. We've got his history, the hit and run, the settlements, all sealed or expunged, inadmissible in family court. Sam's expression was grim. Look, I know what Vance is. I know what he did to your daughter Rex. But knowing something and proving it in court are 2 different things. And right now, we can't prove anything. Lena felt the room closing in. So that's it. He wins. I didn't say that. Sam leaned forward. I said we can't prove it in court. But we don't need to convince a jury. We need to convince one judge. And judges are human. They respond to patterns, to character, to credibility. She pulled out another document. Vance made a mistake. He filed this petition too fast. Claimed you were in immediate danger to the child. But you've had Noah for 6 months without incident. No CPS reports, no hospital visits, no police involvement. That undermines his entire narrative. How does that help us? Because it shows desperation, and desperate men make mistakes. Sam looked at Rex. You said you've been tracking him for 15 years. What else have you got? Rex pushed off the wall, moved to his desk, and started pulling files. Business deals that went south, partners who sued him, employees who filed complaints. 3 women who tried to take him to court, all settled out of court with NDAs. Can you get those women to talk? 2 moved out of state, one's dead overdose 5 years ago. Sam swore under her breath. Of course she is. She turned back to Lena. What about Noah's birth certificate? Is Vance listed as the father? No, I left it blank. That's good. Makes his paternity claim harder to prove without a DNA test. Sam made another note. He'll demand one, but that takes time. Time we can use. The door to the office opened. Eli walked in, phone in hand, expression tight. We've got a problem, he said. Rex straightened. What kind of problem? My sister just called. Someone accessed the sealed records on Vance's hit-and-run case. Set off an alert in the system. They're investigating. When? Last night, around midnight. Sam's head snapped up. Who accessed them? She doesn't know yet, but whoever it was had high-level clearance. Government credentials. The room went silent. That's not good, Sam said quietly. Why? Lena looked between them. What does that mean? It means someone powerful is protecting Vance. Someone with access to sealed court records and the authority to monitor who looks at them. Sam closed her briefcase with a sharp snap. We just got made. Rex's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his entire body went rigid. What? Lena asked. He turned the phone around. It was a text message from an unknown number. Just 4 words, stay away from her. Below it a photo of Lena walking into the motel with Noah yesterday morning. Someone had been watching. Lena's blood turned to ice. Oh God, he knows where I am. Not just where you are. Rex's voice had gone cold. He knows we're helping you. Sam stood up. We need to move, now. If Vance knows you're here, this shop isn't safe anymore. Where do we go? Lena clutched Noah tighter. He'll find me anywhere. He has money, people, resources. Then we stop running. Rex locked eyes with her. And we go on offense. What are you talking about? He wants to scare you, control you, making you disappear. Rex's jaw set. But what if you don't disappear? What if you go public? Tell your story where he can't bury it. Rex, that's insane, Sam cut in. If she goes public, Vance will destroy her in court, use it to prove she's unstable. Or it forces his hand, makes him sloppy, brings attention he doesn't want. Rex turned to Bear, who'd appeared in the doorway. You reach out to those reporters yet? 2 said yes, 1 from the Herald, 1 from that investigative podcast, the one that took down the mayor last year. Get them here, today. Rex, think about this, Sam said. Once she goes public, there's no taking it back. The judge will know. Vance's lawyers will use every word against her. Good. Let them try. Rex looked at Lena. You want to know the only way to fight someone with power? You take away their shadows, drag everything into the light. Vance has spent his whole life hiding what he really is. We're about to make that impossible. Lena's mind raced. Every instinct screamed at her to stay hidden. Stay quiet. Don't make waves. But staying quiet had gotten her here. Broke. Terrified. Running. What would I say, she asked. The truth. Every piece of it. What he did to you. How he threatened you. Why you ran. Rex's expression softened slightly. And why you're not running anymore. Sam shook her head. This is a terrible idea. You got a better one. Yes, we build a case, we gather evidence. We fight this in court like civilized people. Civilized people don't win against Caleb Vance. Rex's voice cut like a blade. His father bought off everyone civilized 15 years ago. Judges, police, prosecutors. The whole system bent over backward to protect him. So forgive me if I don't have a lot of faith in playing by rules that don't apply to him. Sam stared at him for a long moment, then turned to Lena. It's your call, but understand if you do this, you're betting everything on a strategy that could blow up in your face. Vance will come at you with everything he's got. The media will dissect your life, and there's no guarantee anyone will believe you. They didn't believe me last time, Lena said quietly. When I told my friends what he was doing, they said I was overreacting, that he was too nice to do those things, that I was lucky someone like him wanted me. She looked down at Noah, who'd fallen asleep in her arm. I'm done being quiet. I'm done letting him control the narrative. She looked up at Rex. Make the calls. Bear was already dialing. The reporter from this Herald arrived first. Young woman, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a recorder she didn't bother hiding. Jenny Watts, she introduced herself. I cover local crime and corruption. Your friend Bear said you have a story. I do, Lena said. But before I tell it, I need to know you won't back down when things get ugly. Jenny smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Honey, I've been sued 4 times in 3 years, threatened twice, had my car keyed and my tires slashed. I don't back down. I lean in. She sat down across from Lena. Now tell me why Caleb Vance is trying to take your son. Lena told her everything. The relationship, the pregnancy, the threats, the clinic, the running, the text messages and stalking, the custody filing, the surveillance photo from this morning. Jenny's recorder captured every word. When Lena finished, Jenny was quiet for a moment. Then, you know what you're doing, right? Vance will bury you. Character assassination, lawsuits. He'll paint you as a gold digger, a liar, mentally unstable. Let him try. He won't just try, he'll succeed, at least in some circles. Jenny leaned forward. But here's what he won't be able to do. He won't be able to make this story disappear. Once it's out there, it's out there. People will ask questions. Dig deeper. And men like Vance, they hate questions. When can you publish? Tomorrow morning, front page. Jenny stood. But I need more than your word. I need corroboration, documents, someone else who can verify at least part of your story. I can do that, Rex said. I've got 15 years of research on Vance, his pattern of behavior, the women he's hurt, the people he's paid off. Jenny looked at him with new interest. Why do you have that? Because he killed my daughter, and I've been waiting 15 years for a chance to make him pay for it. Jenny's eyes widened. The hit and run, 2010. I remember that case. The records are sealed. They are, but I'm not, and I'm willing to go on record. This keeps getting better. Jenny pulled out a business card, handed it to Lena. I'll have something drafted by tonight. You'll get to review it before it publishes. But once it's out, I know. No taking it back. Jenny nodded, left. The podcast reporter arrived 20 minutes later. Older guy, 50s, with a reputation for taking down powerful people. His name was Marcus Chen, and he'd won 2 Pulitzers. I don't do puff pieces, he said immediately. If your story doesn't hold up, I won't air it. But if it does, he looked at Rex, if it does, I'll make sure everyone hears it. They recorded for an hour. Marcus asked harder questions than Jenny, pushed back more, demanded details Lena didn't want to remember. But she gave them anyway. When they finished, Marcus looked at Sam. You're her lawyer. I am. You're aware this could hurt her case? Very. And you're okay with it. Sam was quiet for a moment, then, no, but she's my client, not my prisoner. It's her choice. Marcus turned to Lena. Last chance to back out. Once this airs, I'm not backing out, he nodded. Episode goes live tomorrow night, 6 p.m. After he left, the shop went quiet. Lena sat in the back office, Noah sleeping in the playpen, and tried to process what she'd just done. Sam sat down next to her. You're either very brave or very stupid. I haven't decided which. Does it matter? Not really. Either way, we're committed now. Sam pulled out her legal pad again. The hearing is in 3 days. Vance will know about the article and the podcast by then. He'll be prepared. Probably file motions to have you declared mentally unfit. Demand a psychological evaluation. Can he do that? He can try. Whether the judge allows it is another question. Sam made notes. We need character witnesses. People who can testify you're a good mother. Stable, responsible. I don't have anyone. I've been running for 6 months. I don't know anyone here. What about us? Mac appeared in the doorway. Behind him, Eli, Travis, and Bear. We've seen her with the kid. She's good with him. Patient. Loving. That counts for something. Sam looked at them skeptically. You're a bunch of bikers with criminal records. No offense, but you're not exactly the character witnesses a family court judge wants to hear from. Some of us are veterans, Eli said quietly. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan, got an honorable discharge. Travis here runs a youth program at the community center, teaches kids motorcycle safety. And I'm a deacon at St. Mary's, Bear added. Have been for 8 years. Sam's eyebrows rose. You're a deacon. Why's everyone always surprised by that? Bear muttered. Because you look like you eat nails for breakfast. Only on Sundays. Despite everything, Lena felt herself smile. These men, these rough, intimidating men, were using their lives to protect hers. Okay, Sam said slowly. Maybe we can work with this, but we need more. We need to prove Vance isn't the saint he claims to be, and we need to do it in 3 days. Already on it, Travis held up his phone. Been following him since yesterday. Got some interesting stuff. Like what? Like he's been meeting with a private investigator. Guy named Derek Stone, real piece of work. Specializes in digging up dirt on people in custody cases. That's not illegal, Sam pointed out. No, but this is... Travis swiped through photos. Yesterday afternoon, Stone was seen entering the home of Margaret Chen. She's the court-appointed guardian ad litem assigned to Lena's case. The person who's supposed to be neutral and investigate what's best for the child. The room went dead silent. He's tampering with the guardian, Sam said slowly. That's grounds for dismissal. Maybe even criminal charges. Can you prove it? Rex asked. The photos aren't enough. We need more. Recording, testimony, something concrete. Sam looked at Travis. Can you get closer? I can try. Don't try. Do it. That guardian is the key to this case. If Vance has compromised her, we can blow his whole petition apart. Travis nodded and left. Lena felt a flutter of something that might have been hope. Could this actually work? Maybe, if we can prove tampering, if the article generates enough public pressure, if we get lucky. Sam looked at her seriously. But Lena, you need to understand something. Even if we win the custody case, Vance won't stop. Men like him don't accept defeat. He'll appeal, file new motions, make your life hell for years. Then what do I do? You fight every single time, and you hope that eventually he gets bored or finds someone else to torture. Sam's expression softened slightly. Or you find something so damaging that he has no choice but to back off permanently. What would that be? I don't know yet, but the shop's front door burst open with a crash that made everyone jump. Mac's voice carried from the garage. We got company. Rex was moving before anyone else heading for the front. Lena followed Sam right behind her. A black Mercedes was parked in front of the shop. Driver's side door open, engine running. And standing in the middle of the garage, flanked by 2 men in expensive suits, was Caleb Vance. He looked exactly like Lena remembered. Handsome, polished, every hair in place. The kind of man who looked like he'd never made a mistake in his life. His eyes found hers across the garage. He smiled. Hello, Lena. It's been a while. Rex stepped between them. You need to leave. Caleb's smile didn't waver. I don't think so. See, this is a public business, and I'm a customer. I need my car looked at. He gestured to the Mercedes. Something's wrong with the transmission. Nothing's wrong with your car. Get out. Or what? You'll make me. Caleb's expression turned cold. I know who you are, Rex Maddox. I know what you've been doing. Following me, harassing me, trying to turn my son's mother against me. Your son. Lena's voice shook with rage. You tried to force me to abort him. You dragged me to a clinic. Is that what you told these people? Caleb shook his head, a picture of wounded concern. Lena, sweetheart, I know you've been struggling. Postpartum depression is serious. But making up stories won't help you get better. I'm not making anything up. Of course you believe that. That's part of the illness. He turned to Rex. I wanted to come here personally, to ask you man to stop filling her head with paranoid delusions. She needs help. Professional help. Not a bunch of... He looked around at the bikers. Vigilantes playing white knight. Get the fuck out of my shop, Rex said quietly. Something dangerous flickered in Caleb's eyes. The mask slipped for just a second. Then it was back. Perfect smile, perfect concern. I'll be back for my son, he said to Lena. Whether you cooperate or not. The court date is in 3 days, and when the judge sees what you've become, homeless, unstable, surrounding yourself with criminals, he'll have no choice but to grant me full custody. He stepped closer, lowered his voice so only she could hear. You should have just taken the money, Lena. Would have been so much easier. For everyone. Then he turned and walked back to his Mercedes, got in, drove away. Lena's legs gave out. Rex caught her before she hit the ground. That son of a bitch, Mac breathed. He came here to intimidate her. No, Sam said quietly. He came here to establish a record. To show the court that Lena is unstable enough to surround herself with bikers and make wild accusations against a respectable man. She looked at Lena. He's building his narrative. and we just played right into it. What do we do? Lena whispered. Sam's expression hardened. We burn his entire world down before he burns yours. Rex's phone buzzed. He looked at it, went completely still. What? Sam asked. He turned the phone around. Another text, another unknown number. But this time it wasn't a threat. It was an address, and below it, if you want the truth about Vance, come alone tonight, midnight. Come with anyone else and I disappear. If you or someone you know is having a difficult time, free support is available. Find resources. It's a trap, Sam said immediately. Has to be. Rex stared at the address on his phone. Maybe, or maybe it's someone who knows something we don't. Either way, you're not going alone. Mac crossed his arms. That's suicide. The message said, I don't care what the message said. Eli stepped forward. Vance just showed up here, threatened Lena. Now some mystery person wants to meet you in the middle of the night at an address we've never heard of. Come on, Rex. You're smarter than this. Rex looked at Lena. She was still shaking from the encounter with Caleb. Noah clutched tight against her chest. What do you think? He asked her. I think, her voice caught, I think someone who wanted to help would have just called or emailed. They wouldn't play games. Unless they're scared, Rex said quietly. Unless they know what Vance does to people who talk. Sam pulled out her phone, typed in the address. Her face went pale. That's the old Riverside Industrial Park. Been abandoned for 5 years. Nothing out there but empty warehouses and junkies. Perfect place for an ambush, Travis muttered. Or perfect place for someone who doesn't want to be seen. Rex checked the time. It's 3 p.m. I've got 9 hours to decide. There's nothing to decide, Sam said firmly. You don't go. We find another way. What other way? We've got 3 days until the hearing. No evidence, no proof Vance is anything except what he appears to be. If someone's offering information, then they can send it anonymously. Email, Dropbox, hell, a letter taped to your front door. This, she pointed at the phone, this is bait. Rex knew she was right. Every instinct told him to ignore the message. Stay safe, stick to the plan. But that instinct was why he'd spent 15 years watching Caleb Vance walk free, playing it safe, following the rules, trusting the system. And his daughter was still dead. I'm going it, he said. The room erupted. Rex, don't be stupid. You'll get yourself killed. Think about Lena. Think about Noah. If something happens to you, enough. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. I'm going, but not alone. Not exactly. He looked at Travis. How good are you at staying hidden? Travis's eyes lit up. Very. Then here's what we're doing. I go in alone like they asked, but you're watching from a distance. Thermal scope, radio, anything goes wrong, you call in backup. How far's a distance? Travis asked. Close enough to help. Far enough they don't spot you. Rex, this is insane, Sam said. Maybe, but it's also our only lead. He turned to Lena. I need you to trust me on this. Can you do that? Lena looked at him for a long moment. This man who'd walked into a pharmacy and changed her entire life. Who'd risked everything to help a stranger because 15 years ago nobody helped him. Yes, she whispered. But if something happens to you because of me, nothing's going to happen. I've survived worse than Caleb Vance. Sam made a disgusted noise. Fine, but if you die, I'm not coming to your funeral. Deal. The hours crawled by. Lena tried to keep Noah entertained, but her mind kept spinning. Caleb's face, his smile, the way he looked at her like she was already defeated. Around 9 p.m., Jenny Watts called. Article's going live in an hour. You sure you want to do this? Yes, Lena said, even though every cell in her body screamed the opposite. Okay, it'll hit the website at 10. Print edition tomorrow morning. After that, Jenny paused. After that, there's no going back. I know. At 10 p.m., Lena's phone started buzzing. Text messages from numbers she didn't recognize. Some supportive, some vicious. You're so brave for speaking out. Gold-digging whore trying to ruin a good man. I believe you. You should be ashamed of yourself. Sam took the phone away. Don't read them. Any of them. It doesn't matter what strangers think. But it did matter because those strangers would be in the courtroom, in the judge's ear, shaping the narrative. At 11:30, Rex stood up. Time to go. Travis was already geared up. Black tactical clothing, night vision scope, radio earpiece. He looked nothing like the nervous young biker from 2 days ago. He looked like a soldier. "Remember the plan," Rex said. "You stay back. Don't intervene unless I give the signal." "What's the signal?" "You'll know it when you hear it." They left through the back. Lena watched them go, feeling like she was watching someone walk into fire. Max sat down next to her. "He'll be okay. Rex is tough, tougher than he looks." "That's not what worries me. What worries me is—" She looked at Noah sleeping peacefully in the playpen. "What if this person doesn't have information? What if Vance set this up to get Rex out of the way? Then Travis will handle it. Kid's got 3 tours in Iraq under his belt. He knows how to fight. Everyone keeps telling me not to worry, but worrying is all I've done for 6 months. I don't know how to stop." Mac was quiet for a moment, then, "You want to know something? 5 years ago, I tried to kill myself. Pills, whiskey, the whole deal. Rex found me, dragged me to the hospital, sat with me through detox therapy, all of it. Never asked for anything, never made me feel weak. Just stayed." He looked at Lena. "Point is, Rex doesn't leave people behind. He didn't leave me. He won't leave you. So yeah, worry if you want, but trust that man's coming back." Before Lena could respond, Sam's phone rang. She answered, listened, and her face went white. "What?" Lena asked. Sam lowered the phone slowly. "That was my contact at the courthouse. Someone just filed an emergency motion to have you declared mentally incompetent. Hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. "What?" "They can't. The custody hearing isn't for 3 more days. They're not waiting. They're moving now, using the article as evidence that you're unstable, seeking publicity, making wild accusations." Sam started pacing. "This is bad, really bad. If the judge grants the motion tomorrow, you lose all legal rights. They can take Noah immediately pending the full hearing." "Can they do that?" "They're Caleb Vance. They can do whatever they want." Lena felt the room spin. "I need to call Rex. Warn him." "No." Sam grabbed her wrist. "He's walking into that meeting right now. If his phone rings, if whoever's waiting hears it, it could spook them. Or worse. Then what do? We prepare for tomorrow. We need to show that judge you're competent, rational, not a threat." Sam pulled out her notepad. "We've got 10 hours. Let's get to work." Though. The Riverside Industrial Park looked exactly like a place where bad things happened. Rex pulled his truck into the lot, headlights cutting through thick darkness. Empty warehouses loomed like tombstones. Broken windows, graffiti, the smell of rust and decay. He killed the engine, checked his watch. 11:58, 2 minutes. His phone buzzed. Text from Travis. "In position, eyes on you, place looks empty." Rex typed back, "Stay sharp." He got out of the truck. The night air was cold, carrying the chemical smell of the river half a mile away. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Midnight. Rex stood in the center of the parking lot, hands visible, and waited. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a door opened on the nearest warehouse. Not a main door, a side entrance hanging crooked on broken hinges. A figure stepped out, tall, male, but the darkness made details impossible. "Rex Maddox." The voice was rough, nervous. "That's me. You alone as you're going to get. Now who the hell are you?" The figure stepped into the dim light spilling from Rex's truck. Rex's breath caught. The man was maybe 60, gray hair, tired eyes, wearing a rumpled suit that had seen better days. And Rex knew him. "Richard Vance," he said slowly. "Caleb's father, the man who'd buried the hit-and-run investigation, who'd paid off witnesses and bought silence, the man who'd destroyed any chance of justice for Jenny." "What the hell is this?" Rex's hands curled into fists. "Please, just listen." Richard raised both hands. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here because," his voice cracked, "because I need to stop my son before he destroys another life." Rex stared at him. "You're joking." "I wish I was. You covered up a murder. You used your money and power to let a killer walk free. And now you want me to believe you've suddenly grown a conscience. Not suddenly. Too late." Richard's shoulders sagged. "I've spent 15 years knowing I did the wrong thing, watching my son become exactly what I feared. And I did nothing, just kept writing checks and making problems disappear. But this, he pulled out a folder from inside his jacket. This is different. How this one? Because it's a child, and because if Caleb gets custody of that boy, he'll destroy him the same way he destroys everything he touches. Rex didn't move. You sent the text. I did. After Caleb came home yesterday bragging about how he'd scared you, how he'd manipulated the guardian ad litem, how he'd already won. Richard held out the folder. This is everything: bank records, sealed court files, testimony from witnesses I paid off. The truth about what happened to your daughter and what Caleb's planning for Lena Carter's son. Why now? Why not 15 years ago? Because 15 years ago, I thought I was protecting my son. I thought if I just fixed it, he'd change, grow up, become a better man. Richard's voice broke. I was wrong. He got worse. And every time I cleaned up his mess, I made it possible for him to make another one. I'm done enabling him. Rex took a step closer. If I open that folder and find anything less than the complete truth, I'll destroy you. Understand? I understand, and I'll deserve it. Rex took the folder, opened it. Inside were bank statements showing payments to police officers, affidavits from witnesses recanting their original testimony with dates showing they were made within days of receiving large cash deposits, medical examiner reports that didn't match the official findings, and photos of the BMW Caleb had been driving. Blood on the bumper, damage consistent with hitting a child, everything that had been hidden, buried, erased. Rex's hand shook. Why did you keep all this? Insurance? In case Caleb ever turned on me. In case I needed leverage. Richard looked away. I'm not proud of what I've done, but I kept the evidence because somewhere deep down I knew this day would come, when I'd have to choose between protecting my son and doing what's right. And you chose now. After another woman's running, scared, after he's already filing motions and bribing officials. I chose when I realized he wasn't planning to raise that child. He was planning to use him. Richard met Rex's eyes. Caleb doesn't want to be a father. He wants control. He wants to punish Lena for defying him. And once he has custody, once she's out of the picture legally, that boy becomes leverage, a tool, something to manipulate and destroy. How do you know? Because I heard him on the phone with his lawyer, planning how to make sure Lena never gets custody back, discussing boarding schools overseas, nannies who won't ask questions. Richard's voice dropped to a whisper. My son is a monster, and I made him that way, by protecting him, by teaching him that consequences don't exist if you have enough money. Rex looked at the folder, at 15 years of buried evidence, at the proof that could have saved his family. If I use this, you're going down with him. You know that, right? You'll be charged, probably convicted. Obstruction, bribery, maybe accessory after the fact. I know, and I'm ready. I've been ready for a long time. Richard pulled out a thumb drive from his pocket. Digital copies, everything, including recordings I made of Caleb discussing his plans. It's all admissible, all dated, all verified. Rex took the drive. Why risk meeting me in person? You could have just mailed this. Because I needed you to see my face, to know this isn't a trick, to understand that I'm done running from what I did. Richard's eyes were haunted. Your daughter was 7, same age as Caleb was when I first started covering for him. Stealing from stores, hurting animals. Small things that I told myself were just phases, but they weren't phases. They were warning signs, and I ignored them. You think telling me this makes it better? No, nothing makes it better, but maybe helping now keeps another child from ending up dead. Or worse. Rex stood there holding evidence that could destroy both Vances, father and son. The folder felt impossibly heavy. One question, he said. If Caleb finds out you did this, what happens to you? Richard smiled. It was the saddest smile Rex had ever seen. Then I finally pay for my sins. Before Rex could respond, a sound cut through the night. Engine coming fast. Richard's face went white. He followed me. God, he followed me. Headlights exploded into the lot. Not one car, 3. Black SUVs moving in formation. Run! Richard shoved the folder at Rex. Take it and run. Rex grabbed the folder, spun toward his truck. The first SUV cut him off. Door opened. Caleb Vance stepped out, flanked by the same two men in suits from earlier. "Dad," Caleb said softly, "what did you do? What I should have done 15 years ago." Richard stepped between Rex and his son. "I told the truth." Caleb's expression didn't change, but something cold and dead moved behind his eyes. "You've made a terrible mistake. The only mistake I made was protecting you for so long." "Is that right?" Caleb pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, held it up. On the screen, a video played, recent, clear. It showed Richard entering a building, the same building where Derek Stone, the private investigator, had met with the Guardian ad litem. "Funny thing," Caleb said conversationally. "When I found out someone was trying to bribe the Guardian, I had my investigator look into it. Imagine my surprise when the trail led back to you, Dad. You've been tampering with my custody case, trying to sabotage me." I never. Doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. Matters what I can prove. And I can prove you entered that building, met with my investigator without my knowledge, attempted to interfere with a legal proceeding. Caleb smiled. "That's a felony, Dad. You could lose everything. Your reputation, your law license, your freedom. You're framing me. I'm protecting myself the same way you taught me." Caleb looked at Rex. "And you, breaking into abandoned property, meeting with a mentally compromised old man who's clearly having a breakdown, conspiracy to commit fraud, stalking, harassment, take your pick." Rex's hand tightened on the folder. "This is over, Vance. Your father gave me everything. Every crime you've committed, every person you've hurt, every bribe your family paid. It's done." "Is it?" Caleb gestured to the SUVs. The men from the other vehicles climbed out. 6 total, all large, all professional. Because from where I'm standing, you've got a folder that could say anything. No chain of custody, no verification. Just accusations from a bitter man obsessed with a tragedy from 15 years ago. And a senile father trying to avoid his own legal problems by throwing his son under the bus. He was right. Rex realized with sinking clarity that Caleb was absolutely right. "You planned this," Richard whispered. "You knew I'd reach out to him. You wanted me to." "Of course I did. You've been getting sloppy, Dad. Asking questions about the case, making calls to old witnesses. Did you really think I wouldn't notice?" Caleb's voice turned sharp. "You stopped being useful to me a long time ago. Now you're just a liability. And I don't keep liabilities." Richard's legs seemed to give out. He sat down hard on the pavement. Rex saw it happening, saw the trap closing, saw exactly how Caleb had maneuvered everyone into position. "Your men touch me, the cops show up in 5 minutes, Rex said evenly. "And I've got backup watching right now." "Do you?" Caleb looked around at the empty darkness. "I don't see anyone. And even if someone is out there, even if they come running, what are they going to find? A trespasser, an old man having a medical emergency, and me, an innocent citizen who came to help his confused father." That's when the radio crackled in Rex's ear, Travis's voice tight with fear. "Rex, get out. Now, there's someone." The transmission cut off. Static. Then nothing. Rex's blood ran cold. "What did you do?" "Ensured privacy." Caleb nodded to one of his men who held up a handheld signal jammer. "Your friend can't call for help, can't reach you. He's alone in the dark, probably panicking right about now, trying to decide if he should break cover and help you or stay hidden and hope for the best. If you hurt him, I won't hurt anyone. I don't need to, because you're going to give me that folder and that thumb drive, and then you're going to walk away from Lena Carter and her son permanently. Never. Then I'll have my father arrested for interfering with my custody case. I'll have your friend Travis charged with trespassing and stalking. I'll have you charged with criminal conspiracy." Caleb's voice dropped. "And while you're all dealing with lawyers and court dates and bail hearings, I'll walk into that courtroom tomorrow morning and take custody of my son. And Lena," he smiled, "Lena will be declared mentally incompetent, institutionalized, and she'll never see Noah again." Rex felt the walls closing in, every move blocked, every option eliminated. "You can't." "I already have. It's done. The only question is whether you make this easy or hard." Caleb extended his hand. The folder Rex. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Rex made a decision. He pulled out his lighter, flicked it open, held the flame under the folder. What are you doing? Caleb's composure cracked. That's evidence that you were about to take and destroy anyway. At least this way, nobody gets it. You're insane. The folder caught. Flames licked up the edges, consuming 15 years of secrets. Richard made a choking sound. Rex, no, should have made copies, Rex said quietly. Then he looked at Caleb. But I did. He pulled the thumb drive from his pocket, held it up in the firelight. This has everything. Every document, every photo, every recording already uploaded to a secure server. And if I don't check in by 1 a.m., he looked at his watch, 12:47. It gets sent to every news outlet in the country, every federal agency, every lawyer and judge who's ever crossed paths with your family. Caleb's face went blank. You're bluffing. Try me. For the first time, Rex saw something in Caleb's expression that looked like fear. What do you want? You drop the custody case. Tonight, you sign a document relinquishing all parental rights. You walk away from Lena and Noah, and you never look back. I can't just, then I guess we'll see those files go public. Rex pocketed the thumb drive. Your choice, but you've got 13 minutes to make it. Caleb stood frozen. His men looked at him, waiting for orders. Richard slowly stood up. Do it, Caleb. Let them go. Shut up, old man. I said do it. Richard's voice cracked like thunder. You've destroyed enough lives. It ends tonight. You don't tell me what to do anymore. I'm still your father, and I'm still the one who controls the family trust. The money you use to pay your lawyers and bribe officials and make problems disappear. Richard pulled out his phone. One call, that's all it takes. I freeze your accounts, cut your access, and suddenly you're just another man with legal problems and no way to pay for them. Father and son stared at each other. You wouldn't, Caleb said. I should have done it 15 years ago. The silence stretched like wire about to snap. Then Caleb's phone rang. He looked at it. His face went even paler. Answer it, Richard said. That's my lawyer. Confirming that the trust documents have been updated. You're out, Caleb, unless you do what's right. Caleb looked at Rex, at the darkness where Travis was hidden, at his father who'd finally stopped protecting him. Fine, he said through clenched teeth, but this isn't over. Yeah, Rex said quietly. It is. 2 hours later, Lena stood in Sam's makeshift office at the shop staring at a document that shouldn't exist. Voluntary termination of parental rights, signed by Caleb James Vance. Her hands shook holding it. This is real. Notarized, witnessed, legal. Sam looked like she'd aged 10 years in one night. Rex got him to sign it. How? Does it matter? Sam's voice was rough with exhaustion. You won. Noah's yours. Caleb can't touch him. Lena should have felt relief, or victory. Instead, she felt cold dread pulling in her stomach. Where's Rex? Still at the industrial park, finishing things with Richard Vance? What things? Sam hesitated. Things you don't need to know about. Don't. Lena's voice sharpened. Don't protect me. Not now. What's happening? Sam sighed, set down her coffee. Richard Vance is turning state's evidence against his own son. Everything Caleb's done, the bribes, the threats, the tampering, it's all coming out. Federal prosecutors are involved. This goes way beyond a custody case now. The words didn't compute. Federal prosecutors. Caleb's real estate empire built on fraud, money laundering, intimidation. Richard kept records of everything, every illegal deal, every payoff, every crime. Sam's expression was grim. When Rex threatened to expose it all, Richard saw a way out, a chance to finally stop his son before someone else died. But the document Caleb signed away his rights. Doesn't that mean? It means he can't come after Noah legally. But men like Caleb don't accept defeat. They retaliate. Sam leaned forward, which is why you're not going back to that motel. You're staying here, protected, until the federal agents finish their investigation and Caleb's behind bars where he belongs. Lena felt the room tilt. How long will that take? Days, maybe weeks. I can't hide for weeks. You're not hiding, you're surviving. Sam's voice softened. Look, I know this isn't the ending you wanted. clean victory, walk away free. But that's not how this works. Powerful men don't go down easy. They fight. And right now, Caleb's cornered and desperate. That makes him dangerous. The office door opened. Rex walked in, followed by Travis. Both looked exhausted, grim. Lena stood up. Did he really sign it? He did. Rex pulled out his phone, showed her the photo he'd taken of Caleb signing the document. Time-stamped. Verified. It's over. Sam says it's not over. She says Sam's being cautious, which is smart. Rex pocketed his phone. But yeah, Caleb's not done fighting, just lost this round. What happened out there? Lena searched his face. Tell me the truth. Rex was quiet for a long moment. Then Richard Vance gave me everything. 15 years of evidence. Proof of what Caleb did to my daughter. Proof of every crime he's committed since. And then he called the FBI. Lena's breath caught. The FBI? Caleb's not just a bad guy. He's connected to something bigger. Corruption network that runs through half the county. Judges, police, politicians. All bought and paid for. Richard was the accountant who kept the books, and now he's handing them over. Why would he do that? Guilt, regret, take your pick. Rex's jaw tightened. Or maybe he finally realized his son was a monster and it was his fault. Either way, by tomorrow morning, federal agents will be executing search warrants on Caleb's properties, seizing his assets, building a RICO case. What's RICO? Lena asked. Organized crime statute, Sam explained. If they can prove Caleb ran a criminal enterprise bribery fraud, extortion, he's looking at decades in federal prison. The magnitude of it hit Lena like a wave. All this because I asked for help buying formula. No, Rex's voice was firm. All this because Caleb Vance thought he was untouchable, and someone finally proved him wrong. Travis cleared his throat. There's something else. The reporter Jenny Watts, her article went viral. 500,000 views in 6 hours. The podcast too. People are talking, asking questions. Caleb's sponsors are dropping him. His charity board removed him. It's falling apart. Good, Lena whispered. Then louder, good. He deserves everything that's coming to him. He does, Rex agreed, but deserving it and surviving it are different things, which is why we're not taking chances. What does that mean? It means the hearing tomorrow still happens. Even with the signed termination, we go to court. We present evidence. We make sure every legal protection is in place before Caleb has a chance to weasel out of this. Rex looked at Sam. You ready? As ready as I'll ever be. Though honestly, with that signed document, the hearing should be a formality. Should be, Travis muttered, but nothing with Vance is ever simple. He was right. The next morning, Lena walked into the courthouse carrying Noah and feeling like she was walking to her execution. The hallway outside the courtroom was packed. Reporters, cameras, people she'd never met holding signs that said things like, "We believe Lena and protect our children." Jenny Watts pushed through the crowd. Lena, how do you feel about today's hearing? I just want my son to be safe. Do you have a statement about Caleb Vance's arrest this morning? Lena froze. What? You didn't hear federal agents arrested him an hour ago. Charges include fraud, bribery, and Jenny checked her phone. Obstruction of justice. He's being held without bail. The world spun. Sam grabbed Lena's arm. Inside, now. They pushed through the crowd into the courtroom. It was smaller than Lena expected. Wood paneling, American flag, rows of benches filled with people she didn't know. And at the front, sitting alone at the defendant's table, was Caleb Vance. He looked different, disheveled, tie crooked. The polish was gone, replaced by something raw and desperate. His eyes found Lena. Even from across the room, she could feel the hatred radiating off him. All rise. The Honorable Judge Patricia Chen presiding. Everyone stood. An older Asian woman in black robes entered and sat at the bench. She looked tired, annoyed at having to be here on an emergency motion. Be seated. Case number 24-CV-8847, emergency custody hearing, Caleb Vance versus Lena Carter. Judge Chen looked at both tables. Before we begin, I understand Mr. Vance has recently been arrested on federal charges. Caleb's lawyer stood. Young guy, expensive suit. Looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Yes, Your Honor, but those charges are unrelated to this custody matter. Are they? Judge Chen pulled out a document. Because I'm looking at allegations of witness tampering, specifically tampering with the guardian ad litem assigned to this case. Ms. Margaret Chen, no relation, who was supposed to provide an impartial evaluation of both parents. The lawyer's face went pale. Your Honor, my client maintains his innocence. I'm sure he does, but this court takes allegations of tampering very seriously. Ms. Chen has recused herself from this case and is cooperating with federal investigators, which means we're starting from scratch. The judge looked at Sam. Ms. Price, I understand you're representing Ms. Carter. Sam stood. Yes, Your Honor, and I'd like to submit a voluntary termination of parental rights signed by Mr. Vance last night. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Caleb shot to his feet. That document was obtained under duress. Sit down, Mr. Vance. Judge Chen's voice could have frozen fire. You'll have your turn to speak. She looked at Sam. Approach. Sam walked to the bench, handed over the document. Judge Chen examined it carefully, read every line, checked the notary seal. This appears to be properly executed, she said slowly. Mr. Vance, did you sign this document? Caleb's lawyer whispered frantically in his ear. Caleb shook him off. I was coerced, threatened. That man, he pointed at Rex sitting in the front row. He blackmailed me into signing. Did he? Judge Chen looked at Rex. Sir, stand up, please. Rex stood. Did you threaten Mr. Vance? No, Your Honor. I presented him with evidence of his crimes and suggested he do the right thing. He chose to sign. That's a lie, Caleb's voice cracked. He had files, my father's files he threatened to expose. Expose what, Mr. Vance? Judge Chen leaned forward. Expose that you've spent 15 years bribing officials and committing fraud. Expose that you attempted to manipulate these proceedings through witness tampering. Expose that you're not the upstanding citizen you pretend to be. Caleb's mouth opened. Closed. He had no answer. Let me be very clear, Judge Chen continued. I've read the newspaper articles. I've reviewed the federal complaints. I've seen the evidence of your attempts to corrupt this court's process. And frankly, I'm appalled. She looked at the signed termination. But this document is legal. You signed it willingly in the presence of witnesses with proper notarization. Unless you have compelling evidence that you were physically forced to sign, which you clearly don't, this court will honor it. Your Honor, please. Caleb's composure finally shattered. That's my son. You can't just... I can and I will because you've demonstrated that you're not fit to parent anyone. Judge Chen turned to Lena. Ms. Carter, stand, please. Lena stood on shaking legs, Noah sleeping in her arms. I've reviewed your case, your history with Mr. Vance, the threats, the fear, the running. Judge Chen's expression softened slightly. I've also reviewed the character witnesses prepared to testify on your behalf. Veterans, community members, people who've known you for only days but are willing to stake their reputations on your character. That tells me something about who you are. Lena felt tears burning her eyes. Your Honor, I just want my son to be safe. He will be, because as of this moment, Mr. Vance has no legal claim to him. The voluntary termination is accepted and filed. You have sole legal and physical custody. Judge Chen banged her gavel. This case is closed. The courtroom exploded. Reporters rushed for the doors. Caleb shouted something that got lost in the noise. His lawyer grabbed his arm, trying to calm him down. Lena stood frozen, unable to process what just happened. Sam grabbed her shoulders. We won. It's over. You won. I won, Lena repeated numbly. Then it hit her. I won. She turned to Rex, who was standing in the aisle watching her with something that looked like pride. Thank you, she said. The words felt pathetically inadequate. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me yet, Rex said quietly. Look. Caleb was being led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. Federal marshals flanked him, but before they reached the door, he twisted around his eyes, finding Lena one last time. The look on his face made her blood run cold. It wasn't defeat. It was promise. This wasn't over. Not for him. Don't worry about him, Sam said, following her gaze. He's going away for a long time. Federal prosecutors have him dead to right. By the time he sees daylight again, Noah will be grown. You're sure? As sure as I can be in this business? Sam smiled. But just in case we're filing restraining orders, getting your name legally changed, covering every base. Caleb Vance won't be able to touch you or Noah ever again. Lena looked down at her son, at his peaceful, sleeping face, at the future she'd almost lost. What happens now, she asked. Now Rex stepped closer. Now you figure out what comes next. Where you want to live, what you want to do, how you want to rebuild your life. I don't know where to start. Start here. Mac appeared with Eli, Travis, and Bear. We've been talking. The shop's got an apartment above it, empty for years. Needs work, but it's livable. You and Noah can stay there as long as you need. Rent-free. I can't, that's too much. Consider it payment, Eli said, for giving us a chance to do something good, something that matters. Plus we like having a baby around, Bear added. Makes the shop feel less like a cave where old men go to die. Despite everything, Lena laughed. Okay, but just until I can get back on my feet, find a job. Already handled, Travis said. Community center's looking for someone to run their after-school program. Pays decent. Hours work with Noah's schedule. I put in a word for you. They want to interview you next week. Lena felt overwhelmed. Why are you all doing this? Because people helped us when we needed it, Max said simply. Now it's our turn to pass it on. And because, Rex's voice was rough, because my daughter doesn't get a second chance, but Noah does, and I'll be damned if I waste it. The weight of that statement settled over the group. Lena looked at these men, these rough, terrifying, beautiful men who'd become her family in less than a week, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. 3 months later, Lena sat in the apartment above Maddox Auto Repair, feeding Noah his bottle and watching the news. The anchor's voice filled the small room. In a stunning development, Caleb Vance has pleaded guilty to 23 counts of fraud, bribery, and racketeering. Federal prosecutors revealed today that his real estate empire was built almost entirely on illegal activities spanning 15 years. Vance faces up to 40 years in federal prison without possibility of parole. The screen showed footage of Caleb being led into court. He looked nothing like the polished man from the pharmacy. He looked small, broken. Lena turned off the TV. Noah had finished his bottle and was babbling happily, reaching for her face. She caught his tiny hand, kissed his fingers. Your father's gone, she whispered. He can't hurt us anymore. A knock on the door, Rex's voice, Lena. You decent. Come in. Rex entered carrying the folder. He'd cleaned up since the trial, shaved new clothes, something lighter in his eyes. Like a weight had finally lifted. Got something to show you, he said. He opened the folder. Inside were architectural plans, blueprints for a building. What is this? Community center. We're building it on the empty lot next to the shop. Gonna have resources for single parents, legal aid, childcare, job training, everything you needed when you were running and couldn't find. Lena's throat tightened. Rex, that's how are you paying for it? Richard Vance. Before he went to testify, he set up a foundation. Used his personal wealth separate from Caleb's criminal enterprise to fund it. Called it the Jenny's Light Foundation. After my daughter. Rex's voice cracked slightly. Figured it was the least he could do. Give back. Try to make things right. That's beautiful. Yeah. Rex looked at the plans. Been thinking about this for 15 years. What I'd do if I ever got a chance to turn all that rage and grief into something useful. Guess I finally got my chance. You're a good man, Rex Maddox. I'm a man who failed his daughter. But maybe, he looked at Noah, maybe I can keep other kids safe. Make sure other parents don't go through what you went through, what I went through. You didn't fail, Jenny. Her death wasn't your fault. Wasn't yours either, but we both carried it anyway. He closed the folder. Differences were still here. We get to keep fighting, and that matters. A phone buzzed. Lena checked hers. Text from Sam. Victory dinner tonight, 7 p.m., shop, mandatory attendance. Bring the baby. She smiled. Sam wants us all at the shop tonight. I know, already talked to her. Rex headed for the door, then paused. You know what the best part of all this is? What? Caleb thought he was untouchable, thought his money and power made him invincible, but it only took one person standing up to him. One person saying no. One person refusing to back down. And his whole empire collapsed. Rex looked at her seriously. You did that, Lena. Not me. Not Richard. You. The moment you decided to fight back, instead of running, you won. After he left, Lena sat in the quiet apartment holding Noah and thinking about everything that had happened. She thought about the pharmacy, the fear, the shame, the feeling of being completely powerless. She thought about Rex walking in, paying for medicine, changing everything. She thought about the trial, the victory, the knowledge that Caleb would never hurt another person the way he'd hurt her. And she thought about what came next, the job interview, the community center, the life she was building from nothing. Noah reached up and grabbed her face, pulling her attention back to him. His eyes, bright, innocent, completely unaware of the battle that had been waged for his future, stared up at her with total trust. "You're safe now," she whispered. "You're loved, and nobody's ever taking you from me again." That night, the shop filled with people. The crew, Sam, Jenny Watts, and Marcus Chen, the community members who'd testified, even Richard Vance out on bail pending his own trial, looking older and sadder, but somehow more human than before. They ate pizza and told stories and laughed about things that hadn't been funny at the time, but were starting to feel like victories in hindsight. At one point, Richard approached Lena. "I owe you an apology for what my son did, for what I enabled." "You already paid for it," Lena said quietly. "You stopped him. That's more than most people would do." "It's the least I could do to oppose. Jenny deserved better. You deserve better." He looked at Noah. "He deserves better. And because of you, he'll get it." Later, Rex stood up and clinked his beer bottle for attention. The room quieted. "I'm not good at speeches," he started. "Never have been, but I wanted to say something while we're all here." He looked around at the faces, his crew, his family. 15 years ago, I lost everything. My daughter, my marriage, my faith in people. I spent those years angry, bitter, convinced the world was broken and there was no fixing it. He looked at Lena. Then this woman walked into my life, terrified, broke, running from a monster. And she asked for help. Not directly. Hell, she didn't even know she was asking. But she needed it. And for the first time in 15 years, I had a chance to do something that mattered. To save someone I couldn't save back then. His voice roughened. Turns out saving her saved me too. Reminded me that people are worth fighting for. That justice isn't dead, just sleeping. That sometimes the scariest looking people in the room are the only ones brave enough to do what's right. He raised his bottle. To Lena, for being strong enough to ask for help, and brave enough to fight back. To Lena, the room echoed. Lena felt tears streaming down her face. Happy tears, healing tears. And to Jenny, Rex added softly, who I couldn't save, but who taught me that every life matters. Every child deserves protection. And every monster can be stopped if just one person refuses to look away. To Jenny, they repeated. The night stretched on. Noah fell asleep in Mac's arms, while Mac told him stories about motorcycles. Sam and Travis argued about legal precedents. Bear taught Eli how to make proper espresso. Jenny interviewed Richard about the foundation plans. And Lena sat in the middle of it all, surrounded by people who'd been strangers a few months ago, but had become something more important than blood. Family. Not the kind you're born into, the kind you find when you need it most. The kind that shows up with medicine and legal documents and terrible jokes and fierce protection and asks for nothing in return except the chance to help. Rex sat down next to her. You doing okay? Yeah, she wiped her eyes. More than okay, She struggled to find words. I'm free. You are, and you're going to stay that way. What about you? Are you free? Rex thought about that. Getting there. 15 years is a long time to carry grief, but yeah, I'm getting there. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Noah sleep and listening to the people around them laugh and argue and exist in this space they'd all helped create. You know what I realized, Lena said eventually. Caleb spent his whole life using money and power to control people, to make himself feel important. But he never had what you have, what we have. What's that? People who show up, not because they're paid to, not because they're afraid not to, but because they want to, because it matters. She looked at Rex. That's real power, not the kind that comes from a bank account, the kind that comes from being human, from caring, from refusing to walk away when someone needs help. Rex smiled, actually smiled. You sound like someone who's going to change the world. Maybe just my corner, Babbitt. That's how it starts. Years later, people would talk about the Caleb Vance case, about the corruption exposed, the criminal empire dismantled, the lives saved. But what they'd remember most wasn't the trial or the convictions or the foundation that bore Jenny Maddox's name. What they'd remember was a single moment in a crowded pharmacy when a scared mother stood at a counter counting coins that wouldn't add up, and a stranger walked in and said 4 words that changed everything. Pay up or walk away. She'd been ready to walk. He'd decided to pay. And in that choice, that simple human choice to help someone who needed it, both of them found something they'd thought was lost forever. A reason to keep fighting. A chance to make things right. And proof that sometimes the scariest people in the room are the only ones brave enough to do what needs to be done. Because real strength isn't about power or money or control. It's about standing up when someone can't stand for themselves. It's about refusing to walk away when walking away would be easier. It's about choosing every single day to be the person someone needed when they had nothing left. And that choice, that one choice to stay when everyone else leaves, can change everything.